And we put all of our geisha into this auction that we decided to do this first year. And the real motive behind doing the auction was to see what the market price really should be for this coffee. So, as I said, we put it all in. We had batches 1 through 6 that we had actually put in order of quality. So then, like lot 1 or batch 1 sold for over $100 a pound, and lot number 6 sold for $5 a pound. So it wasn't super helpful.
If we win an auction, that's fine, but Brazil wins as well, because we have the resource to invest in all of that, and it not comes from a place of arrogancy to say that we really wanted to lift Brazil culture. Because when you think about Brazil, as we were talking about, people never think about complexity. Used to think about complexity of exquisite coffee, outstanding coffees. It was just about, okay, I need a coffee for a base or a very good espresso or a blend coffee. It was never on the quality level.
Hi everybody, I'm David Paparelli. I am a CEO of M-Cultivo, and we're here back at the auction stage for a second panel to meet with Rachel Peterson and Jeferson Santos, which we'll do a longer intro, much more deserved intro, but I do want to say briefly before we jump in that we will be auctioning off 24 amazing lots today. And so if you haven't put in a bid yet, the open bidding period will end at 2 p.m. for the Dubai Coffee Auction by DMCC. And this is a very unique auction because we invite producers from all over the world to submit their best lots. So best producers, best lots, and they go up on auction today. Open bidding ending at 2 p.m. And then a live auction kicks off, which we will have an auctioneer here. I get to play auctioneer, and we will be auctioning these coffees off. So really excited about that, and really excited to kick off this panel with 2 of those producers that are in the Dubai Coffee Auction. And so we'll start off with Jeferson Santos, and if you'll grab the mic, Jeferson, just so we have that in order. But Jeferson is a member of the Daterra coffee team, or Daterra. I've been trained to say Daterra.
Daterra. That's better in Portuguese.
Daterra is better. So the Daterra coffee team, Daterra has revolutionized the Brazilian coffee industry, taking it from what we usually would think of Brazil as more of a commodity grade coffee product and into something that is a true luxury lot product. And they've worked on that for over a decade now, correct?
Yeah, we started our... Hello, thank you so much for having me here. We started auction coffees in 2012. So it's been a long time doing it.
It's been a long time. And Rachel's been going even longer than that with Hacienda La Esmeralda and her family farm. The Peterson family was known as God in a Cup, the famous God in a Cup from the Best of Panama 2004. So that happened over 20 years ago, and since then has moved to new heights in the nitty-gritty of the day and day. But the highlights and the headlines come to a $30,000 per kilo coffee sold at the Best of Panama auction this year, and a Triple Crown winner at the Best of Panama this year as well. So welcome, Rachel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, and happy to be on this stage with Daterra as well. I actually thought Daterra had a longer auction. I thought they had started earlier. We started in 2008 was our first auction. But I have a great deal of respect for Daterra and the work that they've done in coffees. Since I started really in coffee 21 years ago, Daterra was already a very well-known. They're known for so many things, quality, the research especially, and just trying to do a very good job in educating the coffee world. So congrats on that.
So you guys, Jeferson, I think you're new to, this will be published as on YouTube and a podcast, but you're new to the podcast. And we have a tradition here, which Rachel might be familiar with, which is just asking what the best cup of coffee that you've had recently is. So I might start with you, Jeferson, on that question, but what's the best cup of coffee that you've had recently?
Recently, let me take that, because I didn't have much time to go to see coffee shops here in town while we're here, so maybe one coffee that I just had now, a decaf from Ethiopia here.
Decaf.
Yeah.
You were the first person. So I think we've done about 50 of these. I think you're the first person who said decaf.
It was super nice, clean, well balanced, super sweet, gentle, and I couldn't tell it was a decaf.
Where is it from?
So. Do you remember where was it from? I think it was from Ethiopia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. We got to check this out. So decaf. We've got a favorite coffee recently is decaf. Oh my God.
That's one.
Please, someone mention the auction lots. Go ahead, Rachel. If it's not Nito, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely. I absolutely. I'm gonna have to go with the Nilo from the BOP with a 98.1 M. So there's nothing else I could say. And
Did you make it over to Julith Coffee to try the Nito brewed?
I haven't tried it since I've been here, but I will be there tonight, and I will be there tomorrow in their booth as well. So hopefully, I'll be serving that tomorrow in their booth.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, presentation at Julith of that coffee is absolutely gorgeous, unbelievable. The box.
Oh, the box is spectacular. I did see that.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. So
that is, for anybody out there, it is worth stopping by Julith and at least just looking at the presentation of the coffee. The coffee is selling for $1,000 a cup. So understanding if you don't want to go that far, but it is available for that. So the reason I wanted to talk to you guys specifically on this panel was this idea that you have both redefined your origins in some way. So Rachel, I'd love to just hear, I know you've told this 1,000 times, but just hear a little bit more of the story of how you guys took Panama Geisha and that became a lot of what represents Panama and what coffee is and how that's evolved over the last, call it 20 plus years.
Right. So when we first won the Best of Panama in 2004, it was a completely new variety. And we were, as a family, out there kind of thinking, now, what are we going to do with this? What should be the price point for this? It had sold in the 2004 Best of Panama auction for $21 a pound, which was a record, high record-breaking price in 2004. But we thought, okay, let's compare it with what other coffees are that are high end like that, and we compared it with island coffees, mainly Jamaica, Blue Mountain, and Kona, and Saint Helena, those type of coffees. So we were really trying to get a price that we thought would be reasonable, or that the market was expecting or willing to pay for this coffee. We won the Best of Panama in 2004, 2005, 2006, and in 2007, we won the Best of Panama as well. And 2007 was another record-breaking. It was, at that point, $130 a pound. So 2008, we decided not to participate in the Best of Panama, and we decided to do our own auction we didn't have that much geisha yet. And we put all of our geisha into this auction that we decided to do this first year. And the real motive behind doing the auction was to see what the market price really should be for this coffee. So as I said, we put it all in. We had batches 1 through 6 that we had actually put in order of quality. So then, like lot 1 or batch 1 sold for over $100 a pound, and lot number 6 sold for $5 a pound. So it wasn't super helpful. And so little by little, we started doing more. That was our first auction, 2008. So this year will be our 19th auction. We have never skipped an auction. We have done it every year for all that time. And I've learned a lot about auctions and about how the market works and about how auctions are not how you determine market price. Auction is everything except that. It's just a marketing. It's something to use. You're going to only put your super best up there, and you want to put a small quantity of it as well, because obviously the price will go higher the less there is. And it's a marketing tool both for us at origin and for the buyer in the country at the end of the day. But auctions are, I went through many. I went through many different stages. I started with 300. Each lot was 300 pounds. Then I even put 1 year 50 lots, and each of them had 300 pounds. So, and that was many, many, many years ago. But many years passed before we had an intentionality in our message, because there were Cup of Excellence auctions, and there were BOP auctions, and then there was the Esmeralda auction. So I kind of went along with what the countries were doing. They didn't have a story because it was a country auction, so you don't have a story behind it. But as the years progressed, I saw that storytelling becomes more and more important in coffee every year. It was already important from the beginning, but I didn't understand how important it was. And an auction is a great platform for storytelling because you can take each coffee and create a story around it and create a persona, I guess, around that coffee, make it something special where somebody reads it and somebody just feels that, completely identified with that. That's enough for that coffee to be something that they're like, okay, this is the one that I want. So I think that other than just taking a coffee and putting it out there because it's super high quality, that's important, of course. But it's also important to create and message out there what it is that you're trying to express as part of your company or what you believe in as a company, as a farm, and what you want people to understand and take away from, okay, Esmeralda believes in this. For example, last year our auction was a floral experience. Why? Because our coffees are very floral. So we put very floral coffees into that auction, and it was all about that. It wasn't about processing. It wasn't about elevation. It was about these different floralities. And they were all very unique. The year before that, it was about the flora and fauna. It was a tribute to the Panamanian highlands. So we talked about things that are important to us. Preservation of the nature that surrounds our coffee and talking about the jaguars and the birds and the flowers. And the year before that, it was a jeweler's box, and it was called a family gem, and it was about that. So there are opportunities to talk to the public, and because these auctions go far and wide, and they are really, in my opinion, the very best way to get yourself out there is through an auction. The way that we connected in 2008 to the rest of the world changed our history. So in 2007, we were still doing the Best of Panama, and we won the Best of Panama, as I said, in 2007 with a small quantity. But in 2008, we started doing our own single estate auction. I was able to get so many more people to sign up for the auction, people that I've never met in my life, in all countries, in China, in Japan, in Korea. People who'd never come and visit, they'd never had that opportunity. But as soon as they had a sample box, then all of a sudden they were in love and they create a bond. So it creates experiences for the end consumer as well as for everybody who's watching to see, okay, this is what they're trying to express. This is what Esmeralda stands for. And the consistency of quality is always something that's the most, as I said, the first year I didn't know that. We had $5 a pound coffee, but that was, it's a learning experience. Auctions are learning experiences. Auctions are evolving too. They evolve all the time.
Yeah, like the quality being a requirement, but the rest of it of finding yourself in the brand is you guys do an amazing job with that. And Jeferson, I'd be just set the stage for Brazil here because we've had conversations about this before in the past, and this idea that Daterra was purchased for a long time and put on offer sheets around the world, green importers and roasters, and it would say something like Hacienda La Esmeralda, Panama, or Micava, Colombia, and then it would say Daterra, and it wouldn't say Brazil. It would just say Daterra Coffee. Talk about how you guys kind of positioned yourself through that and how you're sort of now bringing back the quality nomenclature and that brand to lift all of Brazil up now.
Yeah, so Daterra was not born from a producer family, for example. We didn't have like a grandfather that helped us to build our brand. We belonged to a tire company that fixed cars. And when we bought the farm in 1993, we decided that we want to produce a product that is social responsible, that is sustainable. and we didn't have any reference to do that. So we went to the university, to research institutes in order to help us to build our rate to work. So back then, we decided that, okay, we will not sell our coffee, we will not export our coffee until we have like a very decent and good coffee. So we invested many dollars and money into research up to the 2000s. And when we reached a level that we were happy with what we were producing, we decided to start our export. So from 1993 to the 2000s, and then we started to export our coffee. We started to learn more about how to produce coffee in Brazil. And it's all because we had the curiosity and we were humble enough to say, okay, I don't know anything about this. I need to go to those people that can help me in order to produce a very good coffee to export. So when you said you thought that we were in auction before that, we started to put our coffee in the couple of auctions in Brazil a couple of years before that. And then when we realized that, okay, it's time to go to the next level because we are quite a big farm. We produce around 80 to 85,000 bags of coffee a year. So it was a time that we were able to step up and to do our own auctions. And because we didn't have any reference, going to institutes, going to universities, going to partner with our neighbors to help us to understand how to produce a coffee, it put us on a place where, for us, being in an auction, it's not only about the price, it's about to elevate the Brazil as an origin. Like, if we win an auction, that's fine, but Brazil wins as well because we have the resource to invest in all of that. And it not comes from a place of arrogancy to say that we really wanted to lift Brazil culture. Because when you think about Brazil, as we were talking about, people never think about complexity. Used to think about complexity of exquisite coffee, outstanding coffees. It was just about, like, okay, I need a coffee for a base or a very good espresso or a blend coffee. It was never on the quality level. So when we started to do these auctions, it was a way to create a statement that, okay, we are able, yes, to produce outstanding coffee, but only through science, to research. And if you just take a look on our coffee on the luxury lenses, maybe you overlook all the hard work that we had before to get there, you know? So for us, it's a way to create a statement that Brazil, yes, it's able to produce outstanding coffee and be on stage with people like you. So it's a pleasure for us.
And Rachel, you've been at this for a long time with Panama. So I'd be curious. You what I find with Hacienda La Esmeralda is that you're so very good at the details. I mean, all the way from the farm level up to the marketing level. It's like the eye for these nuances and details when things are slightly askew or slightly off. You guys are amazing at recognizing and moving your brand forward in that way. I wonder how that extrapolates to the other producers in Panama. As in, do you just focus on the small things and kind of the bigger things take care of themselves? Panama comes along with you, producers come along with you with that brand experience? Or is there more intentionality around kind of, call it community development on moving the Panama Geisha brand forward, and you guys really need to be a leader in that as well, on the big things and the little things?
Okay, so regarding details, yes, we're super detail oriented and very much quality oriented, because that is our biggest claim to fame, of course, is that we always have a high and consistent quality that should be improving every year. So at the farm level, we do a lot of experiments and we do a whole bunch of things to make sure that we can continue to be at that level. But so back in 21 years ago, when Geisha first came onto the scene and won that Best of Panama, the origin of Panama was completely unknown. People knew that Panama existed and that there was a canal, but nobody knew that there was coffee in Panama because there's not enough production of coffee in Panama for it to be important anywhere in the world. So I remember going to those first conventions and trying to offer coffee and being like, it's coffee from Panama, and people being like, what's that? Coffee, people, there's no coffee in Panama. And so there was a whole movement of educating first in the United States regarding the fact that there was coffee in Panama. And that was done very much in together with other Panamanian coffee producers, specifically coffee producers from the Specialty Coffee Association of Panama. The Specialty Coffee Association of Panama was founded in 1996. My father was one of the founders, along with Wilfred Lamastus, Ricardo Coiner. Graciano Cruz was not one of them, but he was around. He was not one of the founders. But even all these same people, I hope I'm not skipping one of the. There's Marcos Moreno. You might remember him. He worked in Bolivia for a while, but he's also a coffee producer from Panama. All these people, when we won in 2004 with the Geisha, nobody else had Geisha. Everybody was very excited because, of course, Panama made headlines internationally because of the $21 per pound record. And everybody was incredibly supportive to us everywhere, like, oh, these are the ones who got the Geisha. And the Panamanian coffee producers are very different from any other origin in the world. We're a very, very small origin, and most of us actually went to high school together. We know each other's families. We spend, birthdays and even Christmas together sometimes. So considering that we were so tightly weaved together because we knew each other since we were children, we all supported each other going up in Best of Panama. None of these names that I've mentioned would be known anywhere, including us, if it wasn't for the Best of Panama and for the teamwork that went into to SCAP and to creating and making the experience of Best of Panama better every year. And we did it on our own because we could literally not afford Cup of Excellence. So that's how Best of Panama was born. Us, the producers, created the whole event on our own. We would invite the judges. We set up the cupping. We did the whole thing. And we've evolved into something which much more sophisticated than it was in 2004. But we did it all on our own, and we're very proud of that, and we're very together as a group. We have fights all the time, constantly, because we're meeting all the time, and we disagree on this or on that, but we disagree at home. We don't come out, we don't air it. Most of the time, people might know, because we're all competitors, we all want to win, but we also all want Panama and Panama Geisha to continue to be up here. And so we have a whole brand, so I'm on a committee that's called the Panama Geisha Committee, and it's all about not only individual farms, but you've seen the Panama Geisha logo and the booth that goes in Panama Geisha. How do we continue to make that grow? And so that is where we're at right now with that. Like, how do we make all of Panama continue to be at the top?
It has absolutely taken on a new life. And I didn't know that aspect of the story of you did it on your own because you couldn't afford Cup of Excellence, that you scarcity is the mother of invention sort of idea, right? So Jeferson, I'd ask you a similar question of, now that you've sort of reached new heights with Daterra as a brand, the global coffee connections you have, the auctions that you've run successfully, how are you guys as a team thinking about bringing that home or bringing that back or instilling that culture of quality into Brazilian coffee communities?
Research in Brazil, it's quite expensive. So for you to have an idea, when we started to research Lorena many, many years ago, it was through a partnership with IEC, one of the most important institutes in Brazil. And since we have some space in the farm, we offer them a space. Okay, if you want to bring those varietals to Brazil, you have the space, you have the land. We can provide all the resources for you to research here in Brazil. And then after many, many years of try and error, losing a lot of money, losing a lot of coffee, we could make to a place where Lorena, it was viable to be produced in Brazil. And now, not now, but a couple of years ago, we could share this with all those small producers that could not afford this kind of things. So since we are fortunate to have these possibilities and these connections with institutes, with farmers, so we've been recently to Panama to start to understand how you guys are doing this amazing job. We visit some farms in there, and we try to put this institute in contact to help the small producers in Brazil, or see, okay, Panama is doing something amazing with their coffee. How can we do this with Brazil as well? So that's how we try to elevate the whole chain, help the smaller ones or the ones that cannot have access to this kind of connections to step it up their game, their production.
So there's an element of kind of this R&D, sharing your learnings. You're able to make the investment and then openly share what a lot of people would consider intellectual property, right? That like, this is our competitive advantage. This is what we're doing. Was there any conversations at a team level or organization level that, hey, maybe we shouldn't share all this? We're investing in this. Maybe we should forward this. Or is it a kind of a rising tide lifts all boats? If we share this information, Brazil gets better, we get better. I mean, what's the thinking on making those heavy investments and then just putting that information out in the world in Brazil?
Actually, we really don't mind sharing information, for sure, because we believe that if we are winning by ourselves, that's boring. Like, so we really don't mind sharing all the information with partners. And for us, indeed, it's better if we have more people on board that. So recently in our farm, we have a meeting with a lot of our neighbors. So the idea is to collaborate. We have this program in our farm that we call the Growers Exchange, where we invite producers from all over the world. We had this last year. So we had people from Panama, from El Salvador, from India. And it's basically just spend a week exchanging information, talking about marketing, talk about your the problems that you're facing back in your country. So for us, our philosophy is that we must grow together. Like, we don't want to keep things for us. And the sad thing, last year in Brazil, this institute that I'm talking about, that is one of the most responsible for the coffee research in Brazil, it was being sold for real estate. So 2 years ago, we had an auction, and the theme was paying an homage to all those researchers in Brazil. And we donated 100% of our profits from this auction to this. Yes, this one. Yeah.
That was just a beautiful representation. I looked it up the other day because, well, we're always looking for the auction theme for the next year. And, well, for one thing, the artist was amazing, but also the whole feeling, again, the intentionality of what you're doing, I thought was beautiful with the researchers. It was a really well done campaign. Very, very high end. Very, very, very nice. So congrats on that one.
Thank you. Like you said about the storytelling, and that year we donated 100% of the proceeds from the auction to those 15 researchers that we paid homage. Plus, we are donating a couple of scholarships for the next generation of researchers in Brazil. So we're investing more than we collected from the auction, actually, because for us, that's the main goal in our auction. It's to be able to have our voice heard and get more people on board that. And in fact, after that auction, the government of Brazil decided not to sell the institute anymore. So yeah, so for us it was a huge win, and for the coffee industry in Brazil.
It's really, really fantastic. And I love that answer too, that well, if we didn't share this information, that would be really boring if we were just focused on ourselves. We should build communities, invest in research centers, invest in the scientists that are doing hard work behind the scenes, and then put them on the forefront. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that as well. I do want to move on to talking. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So you still competing in Cup of Excellence? No.
It's a good question. So I do want to move on to auction lots. So the Dubai Coffee Auction, which we've mentioned, is coming up in It's the stage that we're on. If you guys haven't noticed the big sign behind me, these lots on auction specifically today. Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about this Nido that's on auction? I'll leave it at that. I'll let you finish the sentence.
Sure. So we have different qualities. So you were talking about the best coffees going to the auction, and yes, sure. But our first and foremost and biggest client will always be the BOP, because Best of Panama is what launched us and what continues to be something that everybody in the world watches to see who won Best of Panama or who at least placed in the first 8 spots. And our second client is going to be our own single estate auction, which is the Esmeralda auction. However, sometimes we're only going to put a small representation in each one. It's 20 kilos in the Best of Panama per category. So we put 20 kilos into Geisha washed. That was a Nido, 7. The fermentation, cool fermentation and a climate control drying. We put in the natural that won first place was a Nido 7 as well. 7 only means that it was the 7th picking of that area. It's about 1.5 hectares that has coffee at over 2,000 meters of elevation, which is very high in Panama. So it's small production. So the Nido 7 in both natural and both washed was what went into Best of Panama. And then we have Nido 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And so we put another Nido in our auction. I think it was Nido 5. And then we had this Nido 3 that is going into the Dubai auction. So very, very limited quantity of very high elevation coffee that's going to have all the attributes that we, as producers, at Hacienda La Esmeralda look for. It's going to have florality, high florality in the cup with jasmine combined with other floralities. It's going to have, as a minimum, it's going to have a bergamot and stone fruit, peaches, whatever, cherries, raspberries, a lot of complexity going on in the cup because the elevation is going to make it be a complex coffee. And it will be a coffee that when it's super hot, maybe you're not going to like it as much, but as it cools off, I never recommend drinking geisha hot because you just don't get the flavors in the coffee when it's too hot. So you want to let it cool off a little bit before you even take the first sip. But this coffee is a coffee that you can drink stone cold, and it won't have any bitterness. It will be balanced, it'll be sweet, and it'll still be very good. So those are the kind of things that we strive for. It's the Nido, Valle, Pinto. These are called nano lots. Our nano lots are the lots that grow above 2,000 meters above sea level, which we know for a fact. Just if you mess it up, you did something really wrong, because coffee at that elevation in Panama of that variety will always be an outstanding coffee.
Is that your approach to processing then? Is essentially don't mess it up, kind of
it is.
Keep it as clean as possible?
Coffee, as my dad has very famously said, the best moment for coffee is when you harvest that very ripe cherry, and from then on, you can just make it worse. So we aim at making it show in the best way that it can, and we think that is through a very, very slow processing. We do the fermentation in low temperature fermentation, so it's actually air conditions during the fermentation, whether it be washed or natural, or anaerobic, I should say. And if it's a natural or a wash that is from those elevations, it's also going to go into a climate-controlled drying room, air condition, humidity control, and airflow control. And we let it dry very, very slowly. And in our opinion, that is one of the best things that you can do for a coffee is just don't try to dry it too quickly. Don't try and shock it into anything. Just let it calmly, slowly show what it's going to be. It might take a little bit more time to open, but when it does, wow. It's just, that's what that is the essence of the coffee. Also, we are very terroir oriented. We are not very processy into the funkies or the soy sauces or that kind of stuff. But that's a personal thing. That's a Esmeralda thing that both my brother and I believe in, very clean, very terroir focused coffees.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about the way you described that. Almost sounds gentle. In your you go to a lot of washing stations and big, mechanized, loud. You hear it, and then the dry mill the same way. Big, mechanized. You hear it really happening when you walk around Hacienda La Esmeralda. I didn't really think of it until you just said that, but it is. There's a peacefulness to all of it. Everything's slow. Everything's breathing. There's life to it. It's not go, 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 go. It's like there's intentionality to that in that.
That is something that we're very lucky to be able to do because we do not compete in quantity, we compete in quality. And so we can use we have smaller amounts that are what we can, and you can do that because obviously there's always going to be, let's say, a fight for real estate in the drying beds or in the fermentation tanks and that kind of stuff. So you always have to figure that out, like how can I make my best lots be there, and But we do. My brother and I think about this a lot. We work at this together all the time about choosing which coffees have done traditionally very, very well and what we should repeat or what we should change. And every year we will have something new to experiment with every year.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Jeferson, your two coffees on auction, Dubai Coffee Auction. Speaking of geisha, I have heard you describe the Lorena that Daterra does as the geisha of Daterra. Talk a little bit about that, and then talk about this other unique varietal that you have on auction with us.
Yeah, so every year we produce a lot of experiments at the farm. We have a farm that is dedicated to produce the big Daterra, our main production. We also have the second line that we call the masterpieces by Daterra, which are our lab. We have a facility to produce our average crop, and then a small facility only for the micro lots. And we experience a lot. So for the overall production, we work around 16 different varietals. But for the masterpieces, we have over 200 different materials for research and for experiment in our farm. So last year, I think we produced around 40 or 45 different micro lots, and then we taste all of them during the harvest. When we have visitors at the farm, they help us to choose what we're gonna put in our auction, what's gonna make it to the masterpieces, or what we're gonna use it for something else. And then when we cup those 45 coffees, we separate the 15 that we're gonna put in our auction, and then there's these rest coffees that we said, okay, we need to do something else with this because they're just too amazing for us just to blend and do something else. And this Lorena is it's different from Lorena from Colombia or from other regions. Our Lorenas, they're always very floral, funky. Yeah, so we try to ferment and experiment a lot with fermentations because even though it's a Lorena, it's grown in Brazil, it's a different terroir, it's a different environment, it's different everything. So we tend to not to hide stuff or to create different flavors that it's not originally exist in the coffee. All we try to do is, okay, is there a grape in this coffee? How can we process in order to maybe transform this grape into a wine or something that is different, not to hide the taste or make it something else, just to elevate. And that's our Lorena. The other varietal is a Guarani. It's actually a selection of Aramosa, which is a cross hybrid between Racemosa and Arabica that was grown in our farm. So we've been testing with Aramosa for many, many years, and finally we could get to a selection that is stable in our terroir, in our farm. So we decided to name it Guarani. And Lorena and Aramosa, usually they're low in caffeine, but especially this selection, it's not low in caffeine. So it has like the normal levels of caffeines from Arabica varietals. And it's super delicate. It has this super sweet. And like you said, our Lorenas is really good when it's cold. So I also like to drink a Lorena as when it's cold. And this Guarani goes in any temperature. It's really good coffee.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's I guess what I hear with both you guys on this, and I saw this at Hacienda La Esmeralda. I haven't had the haven't been fortunate enough to visit Daterra. I will at some point.
Come this year.
I would love that. But this establishing of kind of these tight feedback loops with clients. So you get to know the clients personally, you get to know the taste profiles, their flavor profiles, but you also kind of get to cheat a little bit. You get to know your own coffee a little bit better. You get to know what's working, what's not working, and different perspectives on that. So I love to hear that, and I love to see these amazing coffees come out of the feedback loops with all the work that you guys have done. The last question I'll have, and then we'll wrap up here, is a simple one, but maybe go to you, Rachel, on this. Is just what are you looking forward to in the next 5 years with Panama Coffee?
I'm looking to continue to just to bring it to new heights, and also, well, we will always have geisha as part of our. I think it's like a patrimony at this point in Panama. But we are also looking at new varietals. We have the 400 accessions from Katia that we brought in several years ago, and we replanted 3 of those accessions this year. Finally, they won't produce for another 2 years. We're always looking for a new variety that will be interesting, that will be different. We've sort of, let's say, weaned off of the Catuai because it's very common and it's not what people are mostly looking for. So just bringing as much interesting new things to coffee as we can, and experiment as much as you can to see what things work, because coffee is a very traditional, it has a lot of tradition in it, where people think that something is done this way just because it's always been done this way, and there's really no science, which is why I love the fact that Daterra does research. Because coffee in general, there's not a lot of money to do research, but many of us just do things that way because that's the way that everybody has always done it before that. And to try and get out of that mindset and find something new. But I also wanted to say, I don't think that I mentioned that the third crown in the Best of Panama was a Laurina in our case, and I would love you to come by our booth and taste it. It was a pre-dried, anaerobic, climate-controlled, and I would love you to compare that against what you're talking about and tell me what you think about it. So
We can do a side-by-side.
yeah, I mean, if they have it, I would love to.
I have it here.
Yeah.
Do it.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that. That would be great.
Sounds
And Jeferson, same question is, what are you looking forward to the next 5 years in Brazil?
First of all, we'd love to have more people on board. I think if we rise as a state more at the origin, we rise as well. But what we're doing in Brazil, the climate change has not been gentle to us in Brazil, not to the world, but in Brazil, especially in the area that we are in. And we've been investing a lot in new varietals that will be able to strive through those hard conditions and still deliver a very good taste. Because you don't want to just drink coffee because it has caffeine. Because you want to drink coffee because it has caffeine as well, and it also has a good taste, and you can enjoy. So we have these varietals that we're working now, those 60 varietals that is tasting super good, that's responding very, very well. But with the climate change, it's getting harder and harder to produce coffee in Brazil. So in the last 2 auctions, we had 2 varietals that people would say that it's okay, this is not a varietal that is worthy to be on auction. And it was tasting just amazing. It was like a result of years of research. So for the next couple of years, I would love to have more people taking a look on research and investing in this kind, because I think the future of coffee relies on research.
Absolutely. Well said. And we will end on that note. I will say thank you again, Jeferson Santos and Rachel Peterson, for joining us. This is kind of a star-studded cast on this stage. So thank you. This was a true pleasure, learn, and a bit of a master class. I mean, these cupping tables around at Hacienda La Esmeralda, at the Dubai Coffee Auction with Santos. Yesterday, you did a masterpiece collection cupping. That is a master class as well, to get to experience in a cup, but this is so good to talk through this. So thank you guys, and we will see you soon.